This is your weekend market review for Friday, January 3rd, 2025. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your weekend market review for Friday, January 3rd, 2024. Hopefully you're doing excellent. Interesting day in the market. Not surprised we got a bounce. You got new money, new month, new year, new quarter, all that stuff that we talked about, window dressing potentially coming. Got it. Hopefully if you are trading around your stocks, you manage your trades, you have some longs, some shorts, and you have just, again, a good balance of what to expect coming up. And so again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. Watch this weekend recap. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of information here. I think that'll be beneficial as we go into next week. So we know next week, the 9th is now a holiday. The market's going to be closed. It's a jobs day. So I'm curious to see how the market holds up going into Wednesday, because if we have Thursday off, people will try to position in front of the jobs number. Again, the economic data continues to weaken everywhere. Not surprising. Economy softening. I don't know what to say. Again, it feels like they've been fudging the numbers for a while now. And when we say fudging, meaning they just overestimated, I think, numbers, and then they would basically change them or refine them later. Revise them is the right word. And so we'll see how that continues on. And again, I think the TLT makes sense down here. Bonds starting to make sense down here. I mean, the market to me is not oversold at all, but seems to be just in a choppy range until we break. And we've talked about the levels it seems to be holding. So again, congratulations. If you're following channel, you're probably doing excellent. Appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. Shout out to Joe dropping the tipping the dealer. That's kind of the joke. So again, if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out. Check out the Calendly link in the description below. If you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate and you're not reaching out, what are you doing? Why not? Porque. Love to help out. You get 2 agents for the price of 1. And always here to help. So also follow, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, I appreciate all the love, support, likes, subscribes, comments. It's all matters, man. And if you want to hit the thanks button, you can on the YouTube video, or if you want to use the Venmo, PayPal links in the description below, it's all appreciated. Again, check out the tradingagent.com, updating this, doing a few little things. Again, if you need any help, do not hesitate to reach out. Goal is to turn profits into properties and passive income. Are you looking to do that in 2025? Holler. So we know going to the next meeting, it's coming up here. I don't know, is it 29th? No cut expected. Expected to stay the same. Bitcoin seems to be holding up pretty well. Again, I'm curious how it acts around 99,000. Feels similar to a head and shoulders top, but again, we talked about big moves lead to consolidation. I wouldn't be bullish unless we broke out, and I'm not going to be bearish until we break down, because I've seen what happens here is you can chop around and you can play the range, or you can just be patient depending on your trading style. If you are always long, well, you got to be real patient. If you are trading ranges, now you have one, enjoy it. I mean, trade around it. I mean, that's the thing. Be flexible. Oil seems to be holding up pretty well. This has got to be concerning the Feds, right? Seems to be holding the 66 area. Again, I personally think that the best time to buy all that stuff will be ultimately when the market pulls back. And we'll see it at some point. Natty gas, we talked about trusting it to break out. Not so much. I'd like to see it in the 2s, upper 1s. I'm on record saying the same thing. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here with saying the same things. Dollar, we talked about this thing's been on fire. Post ex-div holding up pretty well. Man, big volume today. Again, tight action. Tough to really make too much of it going into a Friday. TLT, basing. Again, this typically does chop bottoms and chop tops. Keep an eye on it. I mean, the risk reward, again, it's one of those trades where you can get in, set your stop, and let it go and see what happens. Maybe you make 10, 15 points on the TLT, VBT, a couple points. VIX seems to be holding up pretty well. We've talked about this after that big pullback. Sorry, the big move, they'd pull back at some point. Bigger pullback than thought, but seems to be holding the moving averages. VIX definitely got slammered today, but back at the 200-day, keep an eye on it. SPY, interesting action, right? We talked about holding these blue ranges. Now you're bouncing up to the 50-day. 20 days always possible, but this feels like the curling down 20-day retest. Near term, this is going to be tough. I mean, light volume on a Friday, chopping. this is where you got to manage your positions. As soon as you get really excited about the market going higher, you probably need to take profits. As soon as you get excited about the market dumping, you probably need to take profits. QQQ, we talked about holding the 50-day. Seems to be, I mean, again, I was watching that. I mean, I put on a small shorty position right here at the 8-10-day watching. Again, 20-day possible. That's why we layer into trades. It's hard to pick exact bottoms and tops. Again, I think we will resolve lower. But again, if I'm wrong, stops doing their job. It's not rocket science, friends. IWM, we've talked about, this continues to lag. Chop, chop, fizz, fizz, what a relief it is. DIA, a lot of folks have an idea on this one. Again, I just say the 100-day. I mean, we've talked about this was just painful. Now you're chopping around. It doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere. It feels like it's consolidating. In my opinion, it's probably consolidating to go lower. That's my guess. Gold. Again, a lot of folks love gold long term. We like gold long term. Near term, it's tough to trust because they be throwing the baby out with the bathwater and gets kind of stuck in a sideways action. That's the biggest thing you have to be careful. We talked about how silver and miners were oversold. They need to catch up to gold. Is this all the bounce you get for the metals near term and the miners? I mean, I thought honestly with the market up, gold and GD at miners would get some more. No, interesting. So we'll see what happens when the market starts to weaken a little bit. Keep an eye on it. Again, we like all this stuff long term, but if you follow the channel, you know the true best way to do it is, do what? Wait for the hammer, right? Wait for the hammer. So again, keep an eye on it. We talked about these miners, AEM, watching 100-day. Keep an eye on it. Again, this is one of the better ones. AGIZL, chopping around, back testing trend line. Little frothy. I don't know. Newmont, this should be up in like the 50s. Keep an eye on this range of lows. Pass. Again, I'd be willing to pass on it. Just keep an eye on it. Nothing at this point. Just be safe out there. Let's get into tech. Man, Taiwan's we got a big pop today. Back at the range highs. Worth a watch. Micron. Talked about these, being just stuck on the bottoms. Not surprised they get a little bounce here in the markets today. AMZN. This is why you don't short the lows, right? You wait for pops. You wait for references. All these names look like they're due to bounce, and that's fine. NVIDIA, speaking of, we talked about like the choppy range. If you shorted today, I'd put out there 144, 145. It got the 143, 144. It got back up into this range. Again, I like this area. Now, people say, well, it's over the 50-day. Yeah, Jensen speaking on Monday. Maybe it's running up into it. Could it retest up here? It's always possible. Define your risk. I mean, again, I think this is the easiest short of 2025. But again, this is why you don't short the lows. You short high, like we talked about. You take some profit. You trade the range, and again, you trade around your positions. I mean, it's the same thing as, everyone loves when a trend just goes in a straight line. Problem is they don't do that. So be careful out there. SMCI, again, cooking the books. Fires, Ernst & Young quits. They say they're good. Keep an eye on it. Intellectual property seems to be going nowhere fast. Fastly going nowhere. I mean, you have a reference in the 18. If you traded it, cool. SMH, thought this might break down soon. Seems to be just chopping, chop. Be careful out there. Again, this is why it can be hard. Adobe, things you don't see. I think they got a downgrade today. This thing, ugh. Apple, we've talked about the blow off top peaking. If you've traded Apple for any period of time, Apple, applesauce, apple fritter, the fruit as we call it, and lots of little fun names. It's a blow off top. We know their numbers are going to be crap. We know China is not going to be as friendly, in my opinion, in time. Again, 230s are coming at some point. It's just a matter of when. Amazon seems to be holding up pretty darn well. Chopping around 1.618 is the top for now. Meta, talked about the 20-day failing. Think, hit it, fail. CRM, overbought, oversold, whatever you want to call it. Got overbought, backed up, hitting the 50-day. Now, this one's a tough one because, again, you could see a bounce here, but it doesn't really have much amplitude. Just keep an eye on it. Guggenheim, they're doing the next level chips, which, again, I think a lot of people are excited about. The quantum chips. High and tight is bullish. As long as we hold high and tight, but the 20-day seems to be support. Keep it simple, stupid. Microsoft looked like it was about to dive off a cliff. Chopping around. We'll see. NDAQ, again, the folks who traded this one and shorted at the 1618. Feeling good, feeling great. Don't be surprised if it chops around. That's all. MicroStrategy got a nice bounce today. Again, I still think there's lower prices to come, but this is the thing, right? You get these bounces. When you talk about oversold positions, you got to be very careful. I mean, near term 20-day, I don't know. I mean, that 20-day makes sense here. Just personally, again, I mean, this is why when we talk about the blow off top, you go into consolidation patterns. This is where the patterns get tricky, and that's why you got to trade the extremes. If you went long at some extremes, again, I would take profits as it pops. I don't think it's going to break out with Bitcoin just holding around, but we'll see. Good old Netflix seems to be holding support, worth a watch. Roblox, nice little bounce, right? Chopping around, holding up at the highs. Credit where credit's due. Pan W, right? Everyone loves cybersecurity names long term. I do. Watching the 100-day seems to be okay. Not really much to say there. Oh boy, good old Tesla. As soon as we talk about being, chopping around where it's going to bounce at, nice bounce today. I mean, out of the blue. But not meaning like it can't bounce here, but we talked about this. Like you had the blow off top after a huge move. Now you consolidate. This is where it gets tricky if you're bullish and bearish. And this is why, like, if you were bearish, same thing. You take profits when it drops. Look to short pops. If you're watching the market, you're watching it. Again, if you were playing the up in the channel or up in the trend, the more it's up, the more you should probably take profits. Again, I don't know if we're going to get back to the 488 level, but I'd be watching it. Again, I think there's trading positions to be managed. Insight, right? We talked about this one. I like this one long term. I'd like to see it pull back into the 50s. Just worth a watch. Worth a watch. Palantir, man, nice, man. I think Jay Sells is showing the 85 calls. As long as it holds the 20-day. I'd be curious to see what happens up at 81. This seems to, because it could be a right shoulder, or it could just be ready to go right back up to the highs. Keep an eye on it. McDonald's, going nowhere. Chopping around. DKNG, we talked about it being oversold down here. Man, I would really like to see it in the 30s, but again, it seems to do fun games. And this is where if you zoom out, you can see the bigger picture. It's just what's going to happen near term. Airbnb Bizzle, chopping around. Not a ton to say again. This one, I mean, you can short highs, cover lows. I mean, some of these stocks are just waterlogged, as we call it. Costco, said the 100-day. I mean, if you want to trade up here, 100-day has been support. You go from 1,000 down to 900. Due to bounce, right? Potentially. Easy trade. I mean, with tight stops. Costco, chopping around. I don't really have much on this one. FedEx, we talked about shorting up here. Seems to be holding up pretty, I'd say pretty well for the near term. But again, you dropped on earnings. We talked about the short here. We talked about the bounce back to the blue zone. You got it. Again, with the market up, you would think it'd be stronger. It seems to be lagging. Caterpillar, just keep an eye on it. Again, know your spots. 200 days, crucial. Right? Deer, crucial. Watching. Got to hold this blue zone. But again, it go from 470 down to 420. Maybe it's due to chop around at worst. Nucor, we talked about these steel names getting just obliterated. And again, I like the value. I think there's deep value at some point, but don't be surprised. Letter X, as we talked about, 20 range is where I want to see it. I personally think that I don't know if they'll get bought out in these current conditions with the economy. I think if I was smart, meaning like I'm going to potentially offer on these guys, I'm not going to rush into it. That's for damn sure. Right? Just wait, watch, right? Just keep an eye on it. Because again, I think if it fills this gap down here, that's what makes sense to me. Keep an eye on it. VALE, another material name, lagging. Right? Arrow, junior copper, we like this long term. Right? Seems to be oversold. I mean, I would love to see these chop around and base out. CC Jizzle seems to be holding the 50 years. We like uranium long term. Keep it simple, stupid. CF. Again, we like ag names. They just let them consolidate. They're playing games. Mosaic, same thing. NTR, same thing. Chop. AA Aeron. Again, we like aluminum long term. Praying for more pullback. Again, some of these global growth names, they've been often all over the place. And this is where, again, trading the ranges or just waiting. And waiting means waiting for the extremes. XLF, talked about this one. I think it's topped. It's just chopping around. JP Morgan added a little more shortiness to it today. We'll see what happens here. Doji up here. I know people are like, oh, it's above your blue zone. Again, I get it. Again, I like the risk reward. It goes from 230 up to 240s after going down. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like the risk reward here, it's very easy with tight stops. Don't overthink it. Morgan Stanley, watching the 20-50-day cross. Bank of America. here it comes, 20-day, 50-day cross. I mean, these are very simple situations, right? Goldman Sachs, same thing. Just watch what happens here. Carry looked like it was going to dive off the cliff. Nope. Seems to have held the 100-day. Cool. XBI, as we talked about, the global, not global, but sorry, market small bios should be leading and holding up. Seem to be in a big chop range. Tough to really tell. Jets. Benny and the Jets got the save here, hit the 50-day. Again, I mean, I think it looks like a chop top. Don't overthink it. XHB, talked about the housing names, oversold, chopping around. We'll see what happens down here. I mean, you have KB Homes on Thursday, so be careful. I mean, some of these names, I mean, again, they can get rotation and bounce around. That's just the nature of the beast. They do look like downtrends. TAN, talked about oversold bounces. Sedge, same thing. Right, ENPH, same kind of thing, just kind of rattling through them. I mean, 50-day, I guess we could pop up to upper 70s. First Solar looks all right, chopping around. I mean, again, I think you just leave these names alone. HYG, corporate debt, high out of your mind to buy this stuff. Again, in my opinion, 200-day, chopping down, oversold, rallies, near term, 10 cuidado. Be careful. Again, corporate debt to me is scary. Oil, talked about this one being a solid trade, just up and chop. And I mean, again, if you played some of the BPs, the Valeros, ExxonMobils, Oxys, again, just roll up your stops. That's all we can say. UNG, again, I hate the UNG. This product sucks. Keep it simple. We like the KOLD. We talked about shorting the 80s, covering some in the 50s, covering some in the 30s. There you go. That's why you trade around it. Now you see what happens here. Does it make sense how you trade? Again, just pretend the trend was flipped upside down. You would trade the up just like the down here. But this is a decaying product, so I like shorting it. XOPs, we talked about, nice bounce. Probably due to get stuck here. We've had a nice bounce, so I'm not surprised some of these names start getting a little tired. CVE should get tired near term. I don't know. I mean, these junior names are a little tougher. Valero, we talked about the gasoline names were due to bounce. There you go. MPC, same kind of thing, due to bounce. Worth a watch. BP, we talked about this breaking the downtrend. Booyah, 100-day, fill that gap, 31. ExxonMobil, some tight action at the lows. Again, I like BP better. I like Occidental in time. I know Buffett's going to crush it on this one. Is this just the blow-off bottom? Again, I'd be watching for some sort of retest of the lows, or if the market melts down, I mean, this thing could get absolutely throttled. And when I say throttled, meaning like a quick price that doesn't make any sense, that he'd be stepping in heavy on. EQT, looked like there's some interesting option activity. You're back at the range highs. Keep an eye on it. Big chop zone, in my opinion. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Keeping an eye on this one. Again, I think we'll be a natural gas exporter. So if you have any questions about the markets, don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Have a wonderful weekend. And do yourself a favor. Get the 2025 Stock Traders Almanac. Link in the description below. Did a video on it earlier. Let me know how I can help. Again, if you are looking to grow your trading accounts, your real estate accounts, need some help finding an agent anywhere in the country, I'd love to help out. Give me an opportunity to earn your business, and we'll see what happens. Again, my team and I love helping folks out. Again, it's to give to get, right? Good energy. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Reach out. See you guys in the Discord room. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, your PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.